right, I think we are live. All right, so we are inside today. Blinding light on the left. Um, Outside there, cutting down a tree. And so we are inside of my wife's library. People say impressive amount of books. I don't read any of them. So these are all, there's even more on that wall, all hers. But today I think we solved the chat problem, as long as people are here in chat today. I see there's 3 people watching. But yeah, gonna kind of jump into it and go from there. So, first things first, I'm just going to kind of jump into um, what it is how I evaluate players. Kind of jumped on a little bit this last time I streamed, but I also made some revisions to my spreadsheets. I want to make them a little more accurate from an evaluation perspective and see where I really found the most value and kind of figure out how I wanted to start buying players and how I wanted to start selling players to make my agency more sustainable. So some of these on the higher end might be a little out of date, to be honest. This is still numbers from the beginning of the season whenever I was analyzing. So things may have changed over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how much they hold true. This is more what I'm interested in as far as what I'm looking to sell players at, what I'm looking to buy players at, trying to build in a spread. And I'll explain kind of what I was looking at from this perspective. Hey, what's up? There's my partner right there. Great win today in the not Diamond League, struggling in the Diamond League, but great win in our cup match. But it coached us to a draw. I would say victory, but a draw. Let's get to check that out here while you're here. So we had our sixth and final cup match against OM Legends. Again, we're struggling with our conglomerate here in 11th place in Diamond, but we kind of knew this was a possibility. Just jumping in Diamond for the first time, and first time for Ranjan, first time really for me to an extent. It's like partially real because we have real players, but partially not real because I'm not managing. But yeah, we had this good 1-1 draw to put us second place for the division. We did have to sweat it out. So we got an early goal, but then 5 at the back came through, holding him off from scoring a second goal the rest of the game. So we can see in Titans Cup now that we are out. So we are second place here, thanks to goal differential. Well, not thanks to goal differential, but that was a good backup to have. And yeah, so we'll see how the cup run goes. Really helps make this pursuit worthwhile with the coming out with having 3 wins plus the round of 16. See if we can keep the run going. Probably focus there from here on out. But in the Fortress Agency, I trust. So going back to this for a second, we'll check in on the rest of my agency here later in the video. But yeah, so this is kind of what I started building as far as how do I want to evaluate the purchasing of players going forward. So we have the overall with the player on the left side, and then the age here in the top middle. I had to widen these columns because I was really focusing on listing players that were older earlier. But how I kind of want to look at things was what could this player produce for me from an MFL perspective, and therefore on a dollar value perspective over the length of their projected career. Obviously, these are kind of ballparks because these are not positionally focused. These are not stat position focused. There's always going to be room for some margin of error based off of if it's a striker or a center back or goalie. And also if it's a left or right mid that actually has good pace. It changes things. And so what we see here is how, in a general sense, 75 overall player, I'd be looking to sell with the assumption that they're getting 6% of the rev share. So 6%, I chose that number because this represents, I think, about 1/16th or so, or 1/16th of a team. So if we do 100 divided by 16, 6.25. And so if they get basically if they're 1/16th of a team, and awards that are increased by a 4% compounding rate over the lifetime of this player's career. MFL valued at 225. I fell to $1. And then again, just kind of circling back to that, that's currently what we have really seen in this environment right now as far as how players are selling on Floaty. So with that, and overall, this is kind of basically best case scenario for someone to return MFL wise in a dollar perspective. And so really we do still see some value on the lower end, but as they get older, a 34-year-old, this is again average lifetime expectation for someone is around that 34 mark. And so what I've been listing players recently over the last couple of days, over the last really 24 hours, has been looking at my players 28 and up. If they're first gen players, looking more so at the age of selling a 26-year value, because again, they really have estimated more time in the game. And so I've been listing players for X amount of dollars. Of course, you can't do decimals, but based off of the rejected valuation, what we would compare it to is what I'm willing to buy at. And so I'm trying to buy conservatively. Again, let's spread out these numbers and see what we're looking at. And again, there's some high dollar amounts in there. I'm not actually going to be looking to spend $5,000 on a player. That's just not how I play. But it felt better to complete the whole chart than it did to leave the top end blank. But here we are. So from a more conservative basis, I'm saying, okay, what if MFL decreases to 250 to 1 ratio? What if rewards only increase by 2%? And what if we have to end up having rosters of 20? With injuries potentially coming, it's important to plan for the fact that we might need to have a higher roster, a larger roster, which is painful for me to say as someone that currently runs 16-man rosters in most situations to have to field 20, but again, trying to be conservative here. And so, for example, what I'm willing to buy is 65 overall, 25-year-old. Let's just go with that. Is $7. I'm willing to pay $7 for that when 65, 25, I'd be looking to sell at $10. So there's a bit of a spread there. And that's ultimately just how markets work in general. Is usually there's a buy price and a sell price, and there's the middle. And so I'm really trying to figure out how I can optimize my process in a perspective that keeps me sustainable, that allows players to flow in and flow out at an appropriate time, where I'm actually considering listing the vast majority of my players coming up in the future. So if we kind of look at what I have done, I started this process here. If I look up players that are for sale, I start off with most of my older guys. But again, kind of following the process where like listed for 6, because that's kind of what my grid had told me. We have a striker here that maybe a 28, 70-year-old. Let's look at that for sell price. 70 overall, 28. Again, I said we're actually looking at 26 because he's in the first gen. And then so $13 is what I want to sell him for. But because he's a striker, I'm putting him at higher. It's still kind of the lowest on the market. But striker carries a little more weight when it comes to ability to sell. Kingslayer, what's up? Hello, thanks for this valuable insight. How do you value progression in players that have better out of position attributes? That's a great question. I've gone back and forth, honestly, with that. One of the best examples I have that actually plays on our Diamond Club. So let me look him up here. He's been fun because all throughout his career, he's actually a better rating, and he's been to this Benson guy. So if he's an 83 CDM, but if you notice his defense is 94, and so he's pretty good there. So NFL player info, type him in, and he's a legendary when it comes to his center back rating, 87. And so probably still not diamond quality, but we were short on center backs. But the tough thing here is the fact that, yes, it's great to have them out of position. It's going to help with cup overall averages. It's going to help with those random tournaments that happen where you have to fit under a certain cap, at least based off of listing overall. But they're also not going to progress as well. Like they may end up being at the point where this guy, he's been fortunate enough where his defense has progressed, but he could have been staying at this 83 CDM or 80 whatever CDM to start and progress in the CDM space, his other stats, but really not gone up in overalls compared to his relative effectiveness, right? Maybe he was an 85. I think he may have been maybe an 84 center back to start, got progression, um, and really may have kept the same utility if he never improved at center back and only improved in the CDM space, which again, CDMs are higher value, but in general sense, the player's overall ability may not increase as much if they're already out of position strong, if they're only going to develop in a way that progresses their primary position. So to answer your question, it's hard to analyze. I personally just don't put much stake in the secondary position from the standpoint of I don't really go on my way to buy guys like that because again, I'm more concerned about how they're going to progress in their primary position, and they might be oversold at this point in the market. I love searching for them early on, but I think they're a little oversold now. But I could be wrong. Again, maybe case by case basis, find those opportunities. I feel like they're most common with center backs, like CDMs or whatever playing center backs, or like left wingers playing strikers. So I got plenty of those in the bottom part of my agency as far as players that perform better as a striker than they do as a right wing, left wing, cam, even sometimes. But hopefully that was a long ramble to answer your question. But yeah, it's kind of tough to do. One thing I will show is kind of where I've been seeing some value recently. You'll see I just have made some 3 purchases today. These are all going to be like 50 some overall players that are young. And so 51 overall, 22 age, 49 overall, 20 age. We're starting to see a little bit of the youth premium go away when it comes to low 20s, or even teens if we get lucky. The thought being these guys are all relatively young in their careers, or like this guy, 51 years old, 22, started at 20. But if we look at his player page, I think this guy's barely played. Okay, so he had a good 1 season, and he just didn't get played at all in season 6, and then 4 games. Some guys in here that I'm buying have had very little playing time, still a young age. And when I compare it to what I'm expecting to have 50 overall player, should buy 50 overall player, 20 years old, looking to buy him at $3. And so that's kind of some things that are still available. A lot of them looking to buy at isn't currently available because players I think are overvalued right now. So I think what's really happening in a general sense, especially in the limited and uncommon market, is that people are getting tired of losing in their lower divisions. And so they're looking to pay up. Let's go back to this. Looking to pay up to get to the next division and maybe make some poor decisions as far as returns go to do that. Because where I'm really finding the most, this percentage is basically saying how much percentage or a rev share someone would need in a position in the league they belong in. 4 overall player right now, average wise, is a middling stone team, and you need 11% rev share to make that player worthwhile when it comes to MFL returns. It's 11% of the 9,000 year after year. Again, with some calculated increases in rewards, I did 3% here to make it to have that player in your agency. And when you think about it, if you're owning your own stone team and you're fielding 17 players, even it's just 17 players, 11%, you're way over what you're actually earning. 187%, you're almost doubling what you can be affording to pay those players when it comes to their earnings. And it's really, I'm finding this range of being overvalued from 82s really on average. Again, this is all general sense. From 82 to 57 overalls, I feel like are overvalued in the marketplace right now. Now, these are players that are 23 years old roughly. But really, just trust me, whenever I'm looking at this in general, it's been hard to find players in that range that actually have good value. But again, I think it's because people are trying to buy up and compete well in the divisions that they're currently in. But yeah, didn't know if anyone in chat had any suggestions as far as what players they want to look at that they just recently bought. Didn't actually get any Discord DMs. I think people were, I don't know if they just didn't want to be judged on their purchases or if they just felt like they were good either way or just don't care about my advice. But either way, again, this is not financial advice. This is just what I would have done in these situations. But as a whole, looking to hopefully sell some players here as well, just to make room for this upcoming pack drop. But I think everyone's also looking to not spend money right now. If you're watching this and you sent me an offer on a player, I'm just going to say don't bother. because I've priced all these players at where I'm willing to sell. Especially some of these low ballers are just ridiculous. Like 23-year-old striker, 65. I don't know who this Gora person is, but I wish I could block you because that's just ridiculous. I'll call you out because you don't have a Discord anyway. But otherwise, just check in on general agency. We won't go through all my teams because we'll be here until tomorrow. But looking at the top end, it's been a rough go in general for my Silver Club. We're currently hanging right outside of relegation playoffs. I've had some tough results in a general sense. Like I really feel like this was a team I should have beat 0-0. But again, this is partially due to the fact that I am doing 5 at the back, which again wasn't, if you listen to my first video, it wasn't because I like 5 at the back in particular as a formation in soccer. It's because I just don't like, it's just players that I got early on as far as what formation they fit. I'm kind of a simpleton in that way, to be honest. Other clubs that kind of are doing all right, we got Kiev A, looking to hopefully get the promotion spot in bronze. We got Scotland A, looking to try to come back out of bronze as well. We had a couple of these teams. I think this Serbian team relegated from silver last year, and they're not looking too great this year, but hopefully survive in bronze and hang around. But I think they are in a good cup run. Yeah, they're doing pretty well. But I'm trying to think what else I wanted to share today. Is mostly just of how I evaluate players. Be curious if anyone had any ideas in chat. We can also just jump into Marketplace and see what recent purchases there's been. So this person recently bought a right mid, left mid. I think this is a great buy. I think from a position standpoint, maybe not from a price standpoint. We'll look at that in a second. With injuries coming up, it's going to be tougher, I think, to rotate formations. Like right now, I rotate sometimes to having like a 4-2-2-2 to a 4-1-2-1-2 and a 4-1-2-1-2. Again, just rotating out those different positions. But it's going to be harder, I think, to do the sort of rotations whenever there's injuries in play. I think having this position flexibility to play both the right side and left side is going to be huge when it comes to injuries. And so those are players I'm actually not listing at all. When you look at a right mid, left back, right back, left wing, right wing, with those players, I am holding on to, expecting injuries. Maybe they even come in as early as next season. Who really knows? But let's see from a price standpoint. So $28, 65 overall. Want to sell $28, 65 overall. So first of all, sorry, how old did I say it was? Sometimes I talk and forget what I said. 23 years old, 65. We're looking to sell them at 12. And so I'm guessing the buy price is not going to be very good. 65, 8. I would have only spent $8 on that man. Maybe I should look into my agency right now for my 20-some-year-old lower 20s and start selling them. Because again, I could be terribly wrong with some of this stuff as far as what I'm looking to sell at. But again, I just think this mid range is overvalued right now, and that's even with assuming increases in rewards as time goes on, whether that be to them progressing, moving up in divisions, or just MFL saying, "Hey, we're going to increase rewards." Because the one problem with progressing into the new division is that everyone's trying to progress. Do you factor market price into your listed price? Yeah. So in general, Ron John, it's if I see I'm not going to list a striker for what I have here. So I would make some adjustments. So maybe to say this person wouldn't buy him only buy him at 8 is unfair because with that position flexibility and how important I think that is, maybe I'd spend $13 on him, 14, but nowhere near double that to 28. And this is something that maybe I'll get exposed in. Maybe someone's going to buy up all those players and they're better off that way. I just have a hard time right now with the fact that a 65-year-old, 65 overall, right now based off of where they currently are playing, if we see 65, late in 29, 28, is the bottom half of ice. You're just not getting enough rewards there. I think to have a player like that, you're just hoping he progresses well. but then everyone else around you is also progressing well. New players are being packed. Maybe the latter part of their career, they start doing well, but still are going to be in a spot where maybe they're not receiving good value. But I've been listing my older guys. Maybe I should start listing my younger guys because maybe people do like that youth and that potential. But I also love progression, so I could be a sucker and hold on to them more than I should. What was I going into? Oh, let's look at some other options here that people have kind of bought. Spark clubs. I'm going to do a separate video stream on how I evaluate clubs. Maybe people are more interested in that than players because I'm kind of known more for my clubs than my players and how I evaluate them as a lower end player agency. $20 for a 28-year-old here. So 72. What I would buy him at. So 72, somewhere around 73, 28 years old, 10. But it's important again to note for some of these players too, what generation are they? I probably should look at the last player for that reason too. So he's, I forget what the age is, but I'm pretty sure this is enough time to have been around long enough, and he has decent progression too. But he might be leveling out here with having not gone up during this season so far. Left back, that's not the worst position, not the best, but $20. What I would be doing more so is 10 as far as what I would be buying him at. What I'd be selling him at is around 15, or no, sorry, 20. So I think that was a good sell for that person. And if we actually go back over here, 14, I would definitely give the edge to the seller there, but that's going to be most of these marketplace buys. We can look at lower overalls, but again, I think in general, they're going to be good buys. Like I'm sure this 54 overall, even though they're getting older, these dollar buys are probably pretty good when it comes to return. But did I just see a Bosco Ukrainian buy again? Yep. I look at, he's selling them. I haven't heard much from Bosco recently. Hope he's doing all right. Maybe he got tired of asking win internationals for chemistry, and now he's just selling them off. We had a good fight for a while with most Kayev clubs because I currently have 5. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. Did he lose one? Did he sell one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I guess I passed him. I don't know if maybe I passed him a while ago or it was recent. But yeah, he's selling off a lot of Ukrainians. What's up, Trollox? Sorry if I don't say your name correctly. Great to see you stream again. I missed a lot, but definitely going to watch all of it later. I appreciate that. I was honestly a little surprised and encouraged by people that watch this my stream in kind of hindsight. I know I'm not the highest quality stream, especially that first one. But I really do enjoy it. I'm just really here to talk to people about MFL because I really enjoy doing it and want to make a time out of my week to do that in a general sense. Again, shout out to Laird for having me on a few times in his streams. It's been a lot of fun to have those conversations, and might have some opportunities coming up with another streamer here, which we'll announce whenever he wants to on a future date. But yeah, I guess I'm curious. I don't know who's on. I can't see the quality of people in chat, but I'm curious what you guys plan on doing for player pack drops tomorrow. I personally feel like the answer is to always buy all of them. Whether or not you open all of them, another question. People don't necessarily love the conversation about reselling. I historically have been just opening all the packs. I'll usually, if I'm going to sell anything, I usually sell the reward packs. I love opening up these pack drop packs because the possibilities for an upgrade. I had a very fortunate situation last season at the mid-season pack drop where I got my tied for second highest rated player in a limited pack that I bought off of Floaty. Thank you to the person who I bought that for $22.50 from. He's a Lego he's a right mid with not very great pace, but you can't argue with the fact that he's a 91 rated Lego that I got from the limited pack. Who's currently playing on our Diamond squad. He has not progressed a lick, I don't think, since I got him. But again, if my options are a limited player or a legendary player that hasn't progressed at all, Looks like he did progress one defense. I'm gonna pick the legendary player that will never progress every day of the week. But yeah, plan to get as many as you can, then probably open all of them. Yeah, it's the hardest thing is sometimes people are okay with selling it, letting go of those packs and that possibilities. And I definitely have that FOMO of, hey, I'm going to look up that pack and see what was in it if I can, if I sell it, and only bad things from there. Kingslayer, standard and limited. I do think those are some of the best values. I would say if you're going to start anywhere, I would probably actually um, I'd probably start at limited and then standard. I like the 2 players that are guaranteed to be usable, and then the 3 players here. I mean, $49. That's you're gonna be able to sell your uncommon player for something probably comparable more often than not. And then you got your limited and common player. Um, Ranjan, buy all of them, then decide whether to rip or not. Yeah, at the end of the day, it only 150 rare packs are going to be out. Step one's going to be getting them if you can. These packs, if you're new, sell out instantaneously. Trilux last midseason drop, I managed to max out the amount of packs that you can buy. So I'm hopeful. That is super impressive. I have multiple windows up all the time. I'll usually get like a window up here, window up here, window up here, and down here, and then I just spam tapping my screen. And I still can't get all of them. I think it's the processing of buying that takes a long time for me, but maybe you can share some secrets with me later as far as how you got all of them. Was it a good pack drop for you? Did you get some good players out of there? I would assume so if you're trying to get all of them again. But I did skip over old timers as far as my review because I don't know if this was part of the edited video out. I did part of the video out that I had before on my first stream because that first 7 minutes was brutal. Basically, what happened was there was another MFL user that really just couldn't feel the team at all, and I was able to get it from him for relatively cheap. Basically, I'm paying him MFL over the next couple of seasons for the having gotten this club. Basically, handing off rewards for 2 seasons, and then I'll have basically a bronze club, free and clear. But I named it the old timers because I kind of found the players in my agency that were older, that weren't progressing anymore, and went ahead and threw them in here. And so it's mostly 29, 28s. Got a couple other ones, but not a very competitive club. But again, it was that or have no gold club in this league, to be honest. So I feel like it's better to field a team than not at all. And then, of course, unfortunately, this player was already signed to the club before I got it. He's a left wing back that I just didn't have much use for. So sorry to Obi. I had reached out to him, see if he wanted him back to use for a different club, but it was so close to transfer window, it was hard to find a new home. I messaged him this transfer window actually, saying if he wanted to try to get him re-signed somewhere else, and if not, I'd sign him back. But nothing crazy, to be honest, but a good little boost for my agency. That's great. That's all you're looking for is that little boost. I mean, if you can break even, then you have fun for break even. That's the main goal. Ranjan, I've been able to max in a long time. The new purchase process has prevented me from getting all of them. Yeah, I have experienced that as well. I don't know if you're referring to the fact that like you can't really buy a new one till the last one fully processes the sale, but that's prohibited me as well. But it's what it is. I'll be curious to see how having the packs potentially on the website in the future make things better when it comes to reselling, people actually using the packs that they want to buy. Ben, late to the party. Well, welcome. You're only a half hour late. I don't know how long we're going to go today, kind of until I run out of things to talk about. But as long as you guys have questions, keep on asking questions. Happy to go into my thoughts on them. Again, I'm just here because I love talking about it. Packs mid-season should have double XP for the first season. It is weird because you do get them at like their half age. I can't remember for sure if Vidic was a mid-season player. If you need some encouragement, I got him in season 4. Okay, he wasn't a mid-season player, but he really only progressed. See, his progression was only was like halfway through the season. So we can go in more details with him. He's one of my favorite guys to look at. If you've heard much of what I had to say about NFL, you've probably heard me talk about him. But this rise didn't start till second half of the season. So yeah, maybe he got XP, but he really didn't move until we were on the other side of the transfer window. And then he went up, I think, 10 in the span of maybe 10 games. But all right. So what all this YouTube chat XP about? I might need some elaboration, to be honest, as far as what you're referring to there. I did have someone ask me before about if I think XP has been lower, if progression's been slower this season. I think that that's a real possibility, but I don't know if it's been manual on the team's end, or if it's just been the fact that players are getting older, and so a lot of players have hit their primes, and so early on we had a lot of players that were in the middle of their primes or early on. We didn't have many guys that were older, and so my progression for this season, if we check in halfway through the season now, hasn't been as great as it's been historically, but doesn't mean it's been bad as a whole. So we have one guy that has really taken off in a general sense, but he's 27. It's a bit of a bummer. Usually like to have a runner or other spaces, but him progressing in everything is pretty sweet. But he's had a good history of progressing. I don't know what this gap was all about. Oh, that's the tier jail. But he's been a good constant growth for me. And then Charles, I mean, anytime you get a +3 from the Lego for the first half of the season, it's great. He's now 99 passing, 99 dribbling, 81 shooting. It's been cool to have him really grow because, again, he started out as a uncommon and grown drastically, especially over the last 2 seasons. It's been pretty cool. Yeah. Ron John knows he's on our club. We can check out how he's doing for the season. Actually don't know. Actually, I looked at the player ratings recently for our club here. Match rating. Of course, these guys are in Diamond getting beat, and so who knows how these have actually been compared to what they could be in other divisions. But he 6.4 match rating. Highest we have Bajilsma, or however we want to say his name. Maybe Jimbo can help me with that sometime. But yeah, so he was another all-star progressor for me early on in MFL seasons. But yeah, we're struggling along. This guy, man, he's already at 5 yellows. One of Big Wilbur's guys. But yeah, he has been one of the bright spots for the seasons. I really don't know how much progression we've gotten as a club this season. Yeah, it's really been kind of tough. We got your guy Quan with the progression point, Charles with the +3, then some guys with the +1 or so attributes across the board, but nothing really to help us progress and compete where we're at. But it's been fun to watch. It's been nice to have some stake in the Diamond League. And though we're maybe a long shot to stay in it after this season, we'll have fun trying to compete in Platinum to get back up if we can't stay here. But we had some close games throughout this season. If we want to take a look at some of those, this was a tough little stretch here, 03, 04. But this was a bit of a surprise. Hashtag variance, maybe getting us a good showing there. But early on, I mean, we felt like we had some chances that just fell through the cracks, and so maybe we'll get some positive variance the second half of the season, and see if we can be a surprise stay up. But no surprise, Meta's up top. A little surprised to see OM down here. Also nice to get them a draw today, but I think they're probably resting players. It'd be nice to have Quan be an ultimate Ron John. That'd be fantastic, whether that be for this season or next, to help us get back up if we do fall. But yeah, might get close to calling it here unless you guys got any questions. I don't want this to be too long of a stream for people that do want to watch something quick in a half hour or so. But yeah, if you ever have any questions regarding this grid that I made, kind of what my process was for making this, happy to kind of answer those questions, whether it be in a future video or in a DM. But yeah, we'll wish you guys all the best in the pack drop tomorrow. I know I'll be shooting for all the packs if I can get them. But we'll see if that's possible. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you in the next one.